we'll hear why humanoid robots are the next trillion-dollar frontier and how we can create systems to co-own them using the blockchain and Web3. And also how physical AI is about to labor what digital AI did to knowledge work.
Let me tell you a little bit about Mauricio, co-founder and CEO of XMaquina, and is on a mission to make the benefits of robotics and automation accessible to everyone, not just the ultra-wealthy or the private corporations. Driven by a core belief that technology should empower people and expand opportunity. With a remarkable and diverse background, he is no newcomer to the Web3 space, having entered back in 2008, focusing on the DeFi area. With XMaquina, he has pioneered a new model of public ownership within robotics, raising $2.5 million in community-led auctions, enabling everyday people to invest into and govern robotics and automation. Mauricio's vision is clear. Build a future where we can collaborate with robotics opposed to being replaced by them. Welcome to Dealflow Founders Stories, where I get to sit down with some of the smartest people in the world building the most innovative tech. I am your host, all the way from New Zealand. My name is Keira, but you can find me online globally as Miss AI. I promise to bring to you today raw and unfiltered stories from the tech founder himself, Mauricio. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks a lot for having me. Excited to be here, Keira.
Mauricio, at the end of today, if everybody listens through right till the end, what alpha are they going to get from you?
I think we'll hear why humanoid robots are the next trillion-dollar frontier and how we can create systems to co-own them using the blockchain and Web3. And also how physical AI is about to labor what digital AI did to knowledge work. And I love that introduction. You really took what I started and made it your own.
Thank you. No, I'm excited for this conversation. And I must say a big thank you to you as well, because back in May, we were in Token in Dubai, and you gave me the push to get on the mic and put myself out there to share the stories and visions of the founders. And that's what we're here today to do. We're here to learn about you and obviously learn around what you are building and how you are democratizing access to robotics, one of my favorite industries. Very easy to get excited about your project.
Yeah, it was really awesome to spend some time in Dubai at Token 2049. That was a good experience. We had a good time there.
Definitely. And maybe we'll see you again in September this year.
For sure.
Here we are. We are going to kick off this podcast with 5 fast questions. These 5 fast questions should be able to be answered in 1 or 2 words and under 5 seconds. So let's hit it off. The first one, describe robotics industry in 2025 in 1 word.
The Alpha, 2 words.
I like it. I know you have a dog, so would you let a humanoid look after your Shiba Inu?
Yes, in a couple of years.
Okay. Describe XMaquina in 3 emojis.
Fire, the little robot flexing arm, and the moon.
Oh, I like that. Okay. You get an all expenses paid for trip anywhere in the world for 1 week long. Where are you going and who are you taking?
I'd say I'd go to Singapore with Keira, enjoy a nice conference.
Sounds good to me. I'll see you there. All right. We just need to find somebody to pay for it.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
All right. Last quick fire question. You get to go to lunch with anybody in the world. Who are you going with?
It might be controversial, but I guess Elon Musk.
Ah, nice. He's up there on my dining dates list as well. So definitely not controversial at all. I think it's a great decision. So let's get into the meat of the question. So those are just a little bit of fun, but coming up, we're going to be talking a lot about robotics, one of the hottest subjects in the whole entire space. And I find it incredibly fascinating what is going on in the industry. I just looked on the XMaquina Twitter page and I saw two robotics fighting in UFC style. So we're going to unpack some of that soon. All right. So, Mauricio, I want to cast the road back before you got into this industry. So, I was doing a little bit of research around robotics in the lead up for this podcast, and I found out that the concept of robotics has actually been around for nearly 2,000 years. And in 14 Da Vinci actually designed a mechanical knight himself. So this is more alpha that robotics is nothing new and neither is automation. But I want to know from you, when did you first have an encounter with a robot? Do you remember it? Was it maybe like a toy car or like a robotic thing when you were young? Like, what happened to sort of inspire you to want to go all in on robotics right now?
Yeah, I think it was a few years back when like obviously ChatGPT, LLMs, and AI was having like crazy advancements, and it was obviously hardware was getting so much better, and that's when I saw Boston Dynamics robot do that backflip a few years back. Like that's like pretty much the first robot to do it. And I was like, when I've seen like both of the things that were going on, it just seemed very obvious that it's like the convergence is like coming now. It's not too late. Like we've seen what drones were doing, and it took a long time. But then even that is becoming autonomous. It just seemed very obvious to me about two years ago, 2.5 years ago, that it's like now time to go all in. But I guess yeah, quickly answer that would be that Boston Dynamics backflip.
We're gonna have to find a video of that. I haven't seen this, but I definitely need to check it out because that sounds incredible to be able to have a robot be so dynamic and agile. And I think that we are starting to see how robots are actually becoming more and more inbred in sort of our daily lives as they're able to, cook things, serve popcorn, or just do very natural movements. I mean, it was actually also, again, you guys need to follow the XMaquina Twitter page. The robotic stuff that you guys post consistently blows my mind. There was a video with a robot, and it was comparing a robot agility compared to a human, and the robot was always performing better. So I think it's exciting times, also nervous times where robotics are heading. But yeah, I'm definitely not too sure if I'm 100% ready for one in my home yet, but we'll see as time progresses. Anyway, back to
Yeah,
you.
I think the homes will take a bit more time. I think warehouse and industrial automation will come first, and I think we're still got like a good 5 to 10 years until they're like in your home and so on. So we got time.
Okay, I thought it was going to be a lot quicker than that, but I mean, okay, that sort of gives me a lot of mental runway to prepare to have one to be cooking my food or something like that. But
Yeah, just think of regulations, right? There's a lot of things that could go wrong. So it'll just be governments having to put stuff in place and so on. So it's a lot more complex, right? If you're having a robot in a warehouse just doing one specific task and training and learning that those specific tasks, repetitive tasks that usually human would be doing, but humans shouldn't really be doing that anyways. We should be doing something more creative, more meaningful, right? They could take those jobs first and actually grow industry as a whole. Like people always look at it in like as a negative when they're replacing labor, but right now there's a shortage of labor in most of the world. Um, so we still got time, and then they're gonna improve. And to be into a home, it's a lot more complex, right? You've got objects moving. You've got every home is different. An oven might be one brand, and another thing might be another, or some might be different heights. Like it's just a lot more complex, and it'll take a lot more time. And then there's also yeah, all the safety and regulatory stuff that comes with it, right? That's also why I think regions will play big roles. Like there won't just be this one player that takes all, because obviously China might it's not going to let all of the US robots just come and enter their homes and vice versa, right? There's also been some controversy with different companies who had like this remote access in certain robots, and like there's just a lot of stuff to consider before they enter the home. So we still got some time there, but um, it's definitely the right time to be looking at this industry and getting involved and seeing what's next, as it's 100% the next frontier.
that's incredible. I had never really stopped to think about how much variety there is in one home, even from my home to the neighbor's home, and how much data they need to collect to be able to be safely operating in these environments. I had, now that you've said that, it makes so much more sense why you reckon it's, 5 to 10 years away that humanoids would actually be invited into the home living environment, because it is so complex. But when you think about how they can actually become more automations, it's kind of like, I'm a process engineer, way back before I was in Web3. But it's just like a robot is actually just becoming a moving conveyor belt. And so it's just part of like the whole entire factory machine. It's rather than, it's not like you shouldn't think of it as a human. It's just like a moving conveyor belt, like just able to transfer goods a lot more efficiently, and I guess probably maybe even safer than humans at some stage, right?
Yeah, like you're already seeing these kinds of things. I don't know if you're following like Figure AI, but they're one of the leaders. And yeah, they've already like have like hours of footage of the robot just handling packages and doing these like tasks that are just repetitive at a really good pace. And it's yeah, it's really interesting to see, and it makes total sense, for that those kind of jobs to be replaced first, train, improve the hardware, do all that testing in those environments that aren't changing so much. Because just think, you wouldn't want your kid crawling around, and what if a robot falls, or your dog? You know what I mean? It's just a lot of stuff that have to come, but it's definitely exciting. I'll definitely want to buy a robot one day and like customize it, put like a phone. You know how we have phone cases? Imagine you'll have like a wrapper, you'll be able to it's kind of like a pet.
You mean like a skin for you can address your robot?
Yeah, you can put your skin or like wrap it like a car. Yeah, imagine that. I think that feature will come for sure. Wouldn't you want your own? Like, it's like an iPhone. You want yours to be cooler, you know?
Yeah, I guess it would be, you would get into that, because I think it was when I was looking around the different robotics companies that XMaquina is looking into, one of the companies, and it was the company that is creating robots, and they're kind of white and they're looking more NASA and more friendly compared to, say, the Tesla version of robots where they're sort of dark and dingy. But you're already seeing the
Yeah,
contrast between these robotics companies playing on different emotional attachments. One was more the Apple Macintosh and one was the Windows version kind of thing. Is that what you're sort of seeing evolve in the robotics industry? Already this personalization?
exactly. So, like, for example, 1X is a robot for the home, and they've got like this a lot more gentle feel. Like, it's even like light colors, and it even has like a little bit of eyes, and it's like, instead of being all metallic, it's got like clothes on kind of thing. So it's like you have to play with that as well. And then you got Figure AI and Uptronic, which just look more like set for a factory, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And but that is their target market, and what they're striving for. So it makes sense what you see that. And then in China, you see all kinds of things. You see some with like googly eyes, or like whole lit up LED faces, and they can like talk with you, and you can actually put different faces on them. It's you're gonna see a lot of different stuff. Yeah, it's quite funny to see. There was actually a really, really interesting conference that just happened last week. It was called the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai,
Mhm.
and it saw a record number of humanoid robots. Like, it's the biggest conference with the most humanoid robots in it ever. So there was over 150 models from 80 plus companies. So China is just like crazy. They've made it like China's going all in. So they're treating humanoids as a pillar of its national AI strategy. They're really like manufacturing, like there's no one that can kind of match with them. And just, I didn't even go, but just seeing the footage, the conferences, the recordings afterwards, you just see the amount of stuff going on there. Definitely gonna go next year for that one. But now you're starting to see these conferences pop up as well. It's just a sector that is yeah, it's exploding really.
It really is. I mean, I'm here based in Singapore at the moment, and there was Super AI, which was the biggest AI conference in Asia to date. And there were robotics in this conference, and they had robotics arms playing chess, which I thought was really interesting. A kind of a different way. It was very robotic still, but to then have a human interacting with a robot for entertainment purposes as something as simple as chess, and the robot being able to, I guess, observe what's going on and strategize around what's going on with the chess. I thought that was like a really interesting use case. And I mean, even using it for entertainment, if you think about, like maybe some old, retirement homes and or just different applications where robotics can really add a lot of value, a lot of entertainment and joy to people's lives. I don't think it's all just doom and gloom that they're going to be replacing us. So I'm pretty excited for it as well.
That's pretty cool though, right? Like seeing the cognitive coming to the physical and then them being able to actually like it's AI acting in real life. It's AI agents just doing what they would be doing, but physically, right? You could play chess with ChatGPT, but now it's got an arm and it's actually playing with you. It's just crazy to think how fast everything's moving.
Definitely. Well, I want to bring it around and let me please introduce XMaquina. I don't know too much about XMaquina, so that is your job to be giving us a full debrief and letting people know exactly what XMaquina is and how they can get involved.
Yeah, sure. So XMaquina is a decentralized ecosystem, giving people a stake in this rise of humanoids and physical AI. So there's a few pillars to it. The core pillar is a DAO. So people pool resources, and then we invest into some of these top robotics companies worldwide. So we've recently invested into Uptronic a few months back after we had these Genesis auctions. So essentially, we have like these IDOs, if you will, um, where you swap USDC, for example, for our DEUS tokens, and then that capital that you're swapping goes into the treasury. And then we vote and govern and allocate into these robotic companies that are basically building this technology of tomorrow. It could be the next Apples, the next Googles of the world. All pre-IPO. So these are all private companies that regularly, like normally, you wouldn't be able to invest in as a retail investor. And the idea is to make the DEUS token sort of like a liquid index for all these robotics, yeah, for this robotics sector, inaccessible companies right now. And yeah, we don't just invest into these humanoid companies, but also the picks and shovels, right? So like the brain, the chips, the battery systems. So yeah, just really building sort of that. And on top of that, the DAO itself, we have Deus Labs, which is an incubation hub, and we're working on a couple of different robotics projects. I think it's very early right now, and there's just so much opportunity. So yeah, we'll be announcing one of the first incubations coming out of the ecosystem in the coming weeks. And we also have sent a couple more proposals X and Figure AI to make more allocations because we did sell out a couple more auctions. So we keep having these auctions, we top up the treasury, and then we start deploying through governance and so on. And then the last thing is a launch pad. So this will come after TGE, but essentially it's you can think of it like a segregated portfolio. So we issue sub DAOs and people can invest into specific assets. This in the future can even be like tokenized machine fleets, for example. Let's say people can crowd fund for the UAE to have some autonomous vertical farm that's being operated by some sort of company, or maybe some autonomous shuttles that are getting plugged into to some sort of operations and for example Tesla's robo taxis, for that's just an example. People could co-own these things and split the revenue between those holders. So yeah, it's essentially like segregating sub DAOs out of the main DAO.
That's very exciting. So you're really democratizing the access to these typically gatekeeped robotics company. How are you able to get access into these companies? So typically for a normal person, say myself as an individual, if I wanted to go, say, invest as an individual into Uptronics or to a private humanoid robotics companies, what is actually stopping me? And then why am I able to then do that through XMaquina?
Yeah, so you would basically not be able to since you're like maybe are you an accredited investor?
No,
Yeah, so that's the
that's the
first
gate,
hurdle.
is it?
That's the get you're a credit investor, and then secondly, you need some decent capital. Even if you're a credit investor, minimum checks are usually ranging between the 250K to 500K mark. So you need a lot of capital to be able to deploy. Um, and then it's also access, right? Like sometimes you can access the deals in primaries. But yeah, like I said, you usually need to do that through an SPV if you're an individual investor and aren't coming with that much capital. And then yeah, like they don't just take anybody on the cap table as well. So sometimes it's quite exclusive. And if there isn't, you need a network to get in through the secondary network. So you would have, we work with some brokers like white glove service, different platforms that you can kind of match and pair secondary trades and so on. So you just really need to kind of get into this whole sector, and it's very time consuming. Like structuring a deal or like a trade in this sector could take maybe a month, 2 months. So it's time consuming and it's complicated, and there's legal agreements, and sometimes you need an entity. So it's just not something that you could just go onto a DEX and swap. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So there's lots of barriers there, and yeah, over the last couple of years, we've been building our network in this sector. We got a really strong group of advisors that are well connected in the AI space, robotics space, and also the venture capital space. And they support us as well, like with the network introduction. So like we are getting introductions to a couple of these robotics companies, and this new incubation that we're working on is going to help with that as well. But yeah, it's really just those things combined plus the network that we've been building to be able to access these deals.
That's
It's
cool.
been an exciting journey to kind of see this. It's so new that you can become quite integrated into like the whole robotics sector and community quite quickly because it's something so nascent.
Well, you've already made a lot of waves in the industry, right? You've managed to crowd fundraise or publicly fundraise $2.5 million already from the public, and I think your auctions were sold out almost instantly, right? They cleared out very quickly, which shows there's obviously a very hot demand for robotics. No wonder you're able to already have these big conversations with other kingpins within the robotics company. There's no surprise there that you're already starting to unlock doors, and it's still so early for your whole entire company. I wonder whether do you know the app, Robinhood, the investment app?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you ever see XMaquina maybe evolving into something like that, where you can go on and I can invest, say, $10 and I can get a part of XMaquina or a part of a robotics company? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, like becoming that's a lot of licenses and a lot of legal stuff that we'd have to go through, right? Because then you become more of a broker,
Okay.
and then custody of funds. So that's a whole beast on its own. We're trying to do it more in a decentralized manner where
Mhm.
it's like open access and having this liquid index. But I mean, there's a lot of opportunities in this space, and it's growing a lot. So you know how startups are. You can always evolve, and if things are going well, your North Star just gets bigger, and things can turn into much bigger things. So we won't rule anything out, but that's a beast on its own with yeah, becoming kind of a broker.
Yeah,
But
okay.
hey,
You never know.
regulations becoming quite we're doing making a lot of progress now with the US and tokenization, right? So like if this is no longer restricted and you're no longer deemed a security and there's clarity around it, then there's a lot we can do in crypto and tokenization of these stocks, right? Yeah.
For sure. So when you're talking with these massive robotics companies, have you found the community's gatekept or the information gatekept? How have you used any superpowers or hacks to be able to unlock these conversations, or is it just sort of come naturally because the industry is evolving so rapidly and is a bit fluid at the moment?
Do you mean like when we're talking directly with the companies,
Yeah.
or like how does that like conversation come about?
Yeah, how do you
Like how do we get the
how do
introduction?
you get those introductions like to these massive robotics companies? I thought that it's quite a gatekept community.
Yeah, it is. It is. So the two introductions that we did get were advisors, and then another one is a partner. Aoki, who we haven't actually got the introduction, but they're in touch. They're based in Shanghai, so they're in touch with a lot of these robotics companies that they're talking about because they're working on some a perception network. So essentially, if you're like in the dirt, in the trenches with this sector, like you kind of start to get the introductions just because of the network and who you're speaking to and people that have previously invested or know the founder or know somebody that they worked with previously is now some sort of management there. So it's just really like the network. And I think in China it's growing so fast and they're innovating. They're also starting to tap into Web3. So you're seeing like projects like Reborn collaborate with companies like Unitree and yeah, I think Engine AI, they had a meeting with Aoki. So like you start seeing this convergence and people exploring what's possible with DePIN, for example, which are the token incentivized networks to gather data for these robots or these
Mm.
perception systems. So like crypto is really good for to me it's obvious that like these machines are going to transact with crypto, right? It doesn't make sense to go on like traditional payment rails when you can just have use a stable coin to transact within one another. And obviously the blockchain makes the most sense to be all transparent and have tracking. So there's just so many things. Data collection, right? Like if you're trying to train a humanoid, what's a better way to kind of incentivize people to gather some sort of real data, whether it's like with a mocap suit or whatever, then like, hey, say here, I'm gonna pay you in tokens. All you have to do is wear this and do these tasks, and then you're earning. And it could be globally, people all over the place. So this deepen model can also enable a lot of things. And I think, yeah, I think the convergence is just starting now. But I think those industries will start to come together more and more.
It's definitely bringing true utility to blockchain. Like you got the real world, you can see it, and there's the demand for the data and capturing that, and also the transactions globally. Like you said, they're not going to go to a normal traditional bank to do this. It's the robotics are a new innovative tech, and they're going to be using the latest innovative tech to do their financial transactions and banking. So, very exciting space for you guys to be playing into, I think, for sure. Right.
Yeah, I think it's obvious. It was so obvious to me, like the biggest use case for blockchain is going to be like the machine economy, smart cities. It's just, I think even if crypto didn't exist, let's say crypto didn't exist until today, somebody would create it for the machine economy, for machine payments. There's got to be more efficient ways for these things to interact globally, right?
Mm.
Like drones, everything. So yeah, I agree.
Very, yeah, exactly. A robot's not going to be transacting with like paper money or even digital, like, just digital makes sense when you're working with a machine. So
Or a credit card and have to settle in 2 days, and then you know what I mean? Yeah,
not
it
going to
makes no
work.
sense.
Not going to work. I want to congratulate you on your fundraising round. So I want to know, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of founders who are struggling to fundraise money at the moment and starting to look towards opening up opportunity to the public. So you've had three massive successful rounds fundraising through the public. Do you have any tips or tricks or any words of wisdom to anybody out there looking to take their fundraising public?
Yeah, I think for us it was as early as possible, right? Like we didn't want to be like this VC token. We wanted to have people have early access from the start. Yeah, like we just had that DAO ethos from the beginning and community first and everything kind of geared towards your earliest supporters. I think crypto has shied away or like gone away from what it used to be. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of stuff that we're seeing, like this weird behavior where only like meme coins are pumping and all this stuff. It's just because the structures are just not there anymore for retail to kind of have a fair shot anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be the biggest thing I'd say to other founders, just like go back to the roots, give your earliest supporters as good as a shot as the VCs, um, and always just be community first, right? If you find a way to make your earliest supporters succeed or benefit, then they're gonna become evangelists, and then that's how you build like a real cult-like community. And then just talk with more with your communities. Like I think I feel like a long time ago, like 3, 4, 5 years back, you would see more founders like in AMAs speaking directly with them, even like video calls. Like we do Discord AMAs. Like there's just not enough engagement anymore. It's like, oh yeah, join our AMA and then type your questions in the chat or in the comments, and then we'll answer some of them. Like it's not even like come up and speak. And I don't know, it just feels like there's no more connection between like the founders and the community. I mean, we're trying to go back to like the old style crypto, and I think that's like the what I would say.
So is that how you've built your community? You started up your Discord and sort of invited. How did you go from 0 to 1 on like Discord or community growth?
I mean, nothing is 0 to 1. Like it was, well, I guess it was just like we had some support. Like so, we work with Peak Network as well, for
Okay.
example, which was a pretty big and hot project, and they would invite us to AMA. So that helped a lot at the beginning, getting started, right? Like having like other projects who like what you're building kind of in the same niche helped a lot. So really tapping into like those communities or niches. So like DePIN was kind of like the thing at the time that was that we could kind of relate to the most when we started building. So we just joined a bunch of those things, attended conferences. And really just stay true to ourselves. Like we pushed on what we were building and never kind of pivoted or shied away from it. A lot of people told us like when we were first starting, oh, robotics is too early. Like it wasn't hot at the time. Like nobody was really looking at robotics yet, like a year and a half ago. And people just thought it was a bit abstract, like, oh, whatever, it's probably nothing. But we just stayed true to ourselves, kept pushing in that one direction. And then everything can change within a few months, right? A few people make a few tweets, whether it's the CEO of OpenAI or Nvidia or Elon Musk, and everybody starts talking about this thing all of a sudden. And then you have some people that are in the crypto space, like Andrew Kane, for example, making investments into Figure AI, some of these robotics companies, and then people see the upside. It was just like a perfect storm to like kind of things just kind of started clicking for us, and we just I think the best thing that we did was stay true to ourselves, even though so a lot of people didn't see it yet, and then it all kind of started clicking. Yeah, more
Massive network
recently.
effect, right? Like a few dominoes hit it off, and then it just like extended with like wildfire, just doof doof doof, and now everybody is talking about robotics. It's on the news, and I mean you can't get away from it. Even I'm finding in like households, we're starting to see safe versions of robotics come into the household. Like I know that my mum has one of those little vacuum cleaners that goes around the house, and
The
she's sworn
Roombas.
by it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
them. And I've also saw somebody having a lawnmower version of the vacuum cleaner. So I want to know for you, have you got any sort of robotics already in your house or like a Tesla or something? Are you already integrating robotics into your life?
Actually, no, it's a bit sad, but we are planning to buy a humanoid as a DAO to like take to conferences and some marketing and like some testing. I don't know. We want to check this out, right? So I think that'll be my first. Well, it won't be mine. It'll be the DAO's first robot, but I think that would be cool,
How
right?
much does a humanoid cost? Just out of like
It
randomly.
depends. It depends on what humanoid, but like for example, mm, Chinese company Unitree just released one, like just dropped one like at the conference that I was talking to you about. It happened last week. And I think let me check the price point, but I think it was under 15K, under fifteen thousand
Wow, I was
dollars.
thinking
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
$200,000.
No, 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 no. And there's some open source robots where you can play around and change the models, and it's like more like an Android that you can work with, and yeah, they're around that same price range. Um, they're more like toys to be honest at the moment. Like they're like do flips and dance, but like the cheaper ones aren't gonna be doing your laundry and doing all that stuff just yet. But it's cool, right? It's cool to have it, check it out, use it. It's a great marketing tool if you go to an event. And also, yeah, like it's kind of embarrassing to not have a robot at this point.
That's really interesting. So you think so how I want to come back to learn about XMaquina and how the community participates in the decision making for the investments. So you guys do the team and your research team does some research and understands what's out there and available in different robotics or different components that are in the robotics industry and field, and then do you aggregate that data and give the community some options or some information? How does it work? Like, how does the community actually decide what XMaquina invests into?
Yeah, so how we've kind of set it up now is to not bring any bad deals to the table. Is what we do is we we have these like research papers and blogs that we publish every like month, I'd say, with all the latest updates, the companies that we're looking at doing research on, and then we open up a forum discussion, like a DAO forum discussion, and then people kind of start discussing, hey, I really like this one. Hey, we already have an investment in the US, and that's the second one that we're going to get in the US. Let's start looking at Europe. And then they're like, okay, here's a European one, New York Robotics. They're raising their next round in the next month or so. Like, okay, that's on our watch list. Oh, but we don't have anything in China. Let's check out the best Chinese companies. 1X is going public, so maybe that doesn't make sense, but what's the next 1X? Like, let's see if there's Engine AI. We just have these conversations as a DAO. We establish a list of like 10. Then we do research on it. We have a research analyst on our team, who's one of the co-founders. And he does all of that, the digging. And then we basically bring like these research reports, and then from that we tell the community to review it, and then we have a weighted vote. So we pick like seven. Last weighted vote was seven companies, and then people get to vote on like, so like let's say you have 100 tokens, right? You can distribute your 100 tokens across all of the votes. So you can put 10 on this one, 50 on that one, etc. So you can just vote on which ones you're the most excited about. And then that's kind of like how we deal source. So then these votes don't mean we're going to get we're going to make the investment. It just means we're going to actively start searching for deals in that, because sometimes they're not raising or the round hasn't opened, or whatever it might be. But that's how we prioritize the deal sourcing. And then once we prioritize like the top 3 to 5 that we're looking at, then we start doing all that work in the background, activate our network and try to source the deals. Once we do have a deal, then we have a proper DAO vote, like a governance proposal, and that's more like an on-chain vote that is for allocating capital out of the DAO treasury. So then this has to hit quorum, has to have like a minimum threshold, and obviously it has to pass. And if it passes, then we can kind of unlock that capital and make that investment. So that's how the process. And in between this process, we have our DAO advisors that are also known as the scoring committee, and they kind of give their vote on. So like from the top picks, they give their vote and give their opinion on which ones they would invest in. So then when the community comes in, they have this like really nice, neat proposal. They have the research paper telling you a bit about each company, and they have the opinion of some venture capitals and professionals in the industry and what they think. So then we're making more educated decisions at the end, and everybody's well informed rather than just like clicking a button randomly and like, okay, let's just go with that one and not doing any research. So we at least try to give as much information as possible, and I think it's actually working very well because we acquired shares in Uptronic, and then we had a vote. But we thought it would be smart to even double down and get some more Uptronic, but we figured the DAO's not going to vote for that, right? They're going to want some other exciting new company, and they're just going to vote for another one. And it was actually surprising to see like the DAO, instead of having more different assets and having another company, they actually voted Uptronic back into the top 3 picks. So like it's like we're making smart decisions. They're saying we're really bullish on this one. Let's double down rather than just like, so it was just surprising to me. I wanted more Uptronic personally, but I didn't think that the DAO would have done it, and it was surprising to see how like people are like really making educated bets, and it's exciting to see.
That is exciting. Do you want to just go into a little bit more details around what Uptronic is and why do you think the community is so bullish on it?
Yeah, so Uptronic is a US based company, spun out of NASA. So they got roots way back with the first NASA humanoid that they built almost like 7 years ago. And they're building full-size general purpose humanoids designed to work alongside humans in logistics, manufacturing, um, and manufacturing services essentially. So yeah, warehouses. And the robot Apollo is one of the most advanced commercially focused humanoids on the market. It's modular, it's scalable, and it's like production ready. And they also have a really cool thing that you can actually change the legs for wheels. Like they're just really smart, really good team. Honestly, in my personal opinion, it's the I like figure AI as well, but I think like it's already had a big run. It's kind of like the golden boy of robotics, so it feels like it's a bit priced there already. But in my opinion, Uptronic at its current valuation is still like the best value proposition on the in the market.
That's interesting. That's the white robot, right? Is it
Yeah,
the
it
one
kind
that
of
looks like
looks.
the Apple Macintosh one?
Yeah, the one that looks like a Macintosh head, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
okay.
that's them. That's them.
That's
Yeah,
very
really
cool.
really cool robot. That one's more expensive. We can't afford that one yet for the DAO just to play around, but maybe one day.
Do you think that, I mean, like you said, the price difference compared to, say, a $15,000 robot or humanoid that you can get out of China compared to maybe a much more expensive one, which is uh, born or built? I don't know which way you do it, but an American-based one is a lot more expensive. Is there regulations in place, or do you think they're going to be there soon, but to allow humanoids to move around the globe? Because it's taking like robotics or stuff that can be programmed, and it's kind of like a do they need like a digital passport or something? Like, how are humanoids going to be moving globally around the world to protect countries and stuff like that? You know, have you is this something that is commonly spoken about?
You're like jumping up like 15, 20 years ahead. I don't think we're quite there yet that they'll need passports. But there's going to be a lot of problems and regulations there. I don't think it's going to be that easy, right? You're not just
Mm,
going to let this Chinese robot that could be remotely accessed by whoever or hacked or like, you know what I
that's
mean?
what I'm
There's going to be a
thinking.
lot of, yeah, there's going to be a lot. I think these conversations are just starting to happen. I don't think even the passport conversation is happening yet. You're like, this is the first one I've heard say it, but it's kind of interesting, right? Yeah,
Definitely.
we're going into, I feel like we're like walking into the future very quickly.
Yeah, I feel like robotics is taking off massively, and same with AI, they're just exploding. And I was actually speaking to somebody the other day, asking him whether he thought that the current frenzy phase that we're seeing, we were talking about AI, but I guess it's also happening in robotics, whether it's kind of like the .com boom, and we're going to just see a few cherries come through and a lot of them crash and burn, or is it just sort of a whole entire just step change that now it's here, we're not going to be going backwards? And I mean, I'm kind of more on that side of things where I'm like there the technology is rapidly advancing, but it's stuff that everyone is using and there's true utility for it. So, and it's I think that's why I'm more bullish on, I guess, the robotics and AI phase compared to, say, the .com boom, which is a bit of a crash and burn. I don't know, what's your take on that?
I think there will still be like a bubble usually, like every like big technological advancements. Usually, a lot of people get excited. There will be a bubble, but I don't think we're at that stage yet. And I think like anything, like the winners will come out and be super successful. And even in the meantime, like the dot-com bubble, there was like investors, there was a lot of money to be made, even in companies that didn't actually survive, right? Like they were still making lots of returns. So I think there will be a bubble, but it will also be like might not be as big as the dot-com bubble just because a lot of these robots are being used and there'll be tons of revenue. So it's just really staying up to date on everything, right? Because these robotics companies have really good business models. They have this thing called like RaaS, Robot as a Service.
Please tell me more. I want to learn about this.
Yeah, so like you're basically like let's say you're Amazon, you can rent these robots for like one third or even less of the price of what you would for an employee, and then you don't have to worry about maintenance, social security, all of this stuff. And these companies just manage all of that. So if your robot breaks, you tell them I need a new one, they replace it, robot as a service. So you just basically have your fleet always working and you're just paying like basically a retainer. And these companies are just endless retainer forever, replacing all labor. And it's like, imagine you an Amazon factory and then whatever Costco warehouse, and then it's just insane the amount of revenue that could be made. It's like trillion-dollar companies will be coming out of this. And I mean,
Yeah,
you can't crash and burn when you're making that much revenue.
exactly. And if they've got sort of a subscription service, so to speak, for their robots where they're constantly maintaining and replenishing them, and they're in massive demand, like you said, the business model makes sense, right? There's demand and they're fulfilling that with their supply while also manufacturing more. So they're tapping into both sides, which I think is really interesting. So
While scaling
mm,
anything, like now there's no like real cap on what can be manufactured. Like industry can just it's just infinite. If we want to build rockets for Mars, we can do it so much quicker. Like there's just no cap on like the production. So and it's cheaper, so it'll be crazy.
the stats are aligning. All right, I want to ask you, have you seen the movie Subservience on Netflix?
So no, I haven't.
Okay, I watched this, it was a while ago, so it's probably still on there. You should check it out. But anyway, I'll give you a little overview of it. And it's kind of so what happens is there is a husband and his wife falls ill. So they get a humanoid into the house to do the cooking, the cleaning, sort of services within the house. And then, long story short, I'm gonna steal the plot twist, I guess, if you would call it. But as the story unfolds, the robot tends to take on a bit more of an intimate role in his life. What is your perspective on portraying robots, like intimacy robots? Like, what is this too far? Should we be doing this? Like, what is your take on that?
Yeah, it's all a bit weird. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff is gonna go on. I think it's unavoidable at this point. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff, but it's not just that. It's like implants in the brain and all this weird stuff. Like I'm not a fan, to be honest. I'd rather just stick to normal humans. But I don't think everybody thinks the same. Maybe some guys or girls will just be like, my new boyfriend, here's my new boyfriend or my new girlfriend.
Well, we're starting to see that with AI, where people are actually using AI more and more as like a therapist or a companion. So, I mean, as we spoke initially, like using AI and then as the chess mover and integrating robotics with AI is sort of where things are going. And there's so much, I mean, people can use AI to combat or like not to combat, but to, have conversations or loneliness or to, talk about different issues. And I think that we're starting to see a more trusted relationship between AI and I think will extend into robotics because it's just like those work together and it's going to become more and more normalized, which I think is interesting. And we're even starting to see it with pets, right? Where you can get like the robotics dogs or something that's going to do a backflip and people now have that as a replacement for a dog. So you're starting to see it on this micro level, which I mean, for me, it'll get there, right? Whether it's right or wrong,
Yeah,
the jury's out on that,
yeah.
sure. and what people are using them for. Again, the jury is also out on that. But I think it's an interesting. They're already making movies about it, and so it's definitely crossing people's minds whether people are talking about it or not. I think that's an interesting take, and I just wanted to hear what your opinion was on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be easier to have a relationship with a robot. They can't complain or too much. So it's like, I guess, I don't know, but maybe when they'll be conscious, they'll start complaining and have their own opinion. But for now, it's just like, it's just doing what it's told. It's kind of funny.
Well, yeah, this is another thing. I think they can go a little bit AWOL, and then, the whole entire horror movie comes on out where the robot takes over. But I think that humans will always be able to combat robots if we just put water on them, right? Because they're electronic. So if we just like tip water on a robot, they're like
I don't
canceling, right?
know. Put water on your iPhone. It'll be fine.
Oh, iPhone is waterproof.
Exactly. And it rains. I mean, I think they're gonna be waterproof quite quickly.
My theory is literally just, I was so sure about that.
We should have like some sort of, yeah, operating system, at least per country, where like you can shut it off and all the robots shut off. Something like that.
Kill switch or something. But anyway, all right, I want to like jump out of robotics for a minute or two and bring it back to you. So I know that you are based there in Mexico, and what do you do to wear the hats between CEO and co-founder of this massively exploding company, which I'm sure is very demanding across business development, networking, uh, fundraising, all the things that a CEO and founder has to deal with. So how do you switch off and remain balanced? Do you go work out, or do you, I don't know, go for a surf, or what do you do to reset? What's your me time look like?
Yeah. Well, technically I'm not a CEO. DAOs don't really have CEOs. I'm just more like a founding member.
Okay.
But uh but yeah, I mean in my free time, yeah, like I said, I'm part of the year here in Mexico, part of the time in Lisbon, in Portugal. So I'm in nice places, sunny places. I get to go to the beach when I can. I mean, there's a pool close by my apartment building, so on. So relax when I can. When I get too stressed, I need to just go down, go for a morning swim. I go to the gym too. I like playing sports. Yeah, I
What's
like
your sport of choice?
soccer.
Soccer, is
I
it?
like soccer, football. Yeah, well, no, I actually like American football, like NFL, but I can't play that anymore. Get injured too old now. But that was my favorite sport growing up. But yeah, now I play soccer and some basketball here and there.
So it sounds like you
With
remain
beach
active.
volleyball. Yeah, yeah. So just like outdoor activities. Um, I really like food. I used to be a chef back in the day. Like when I was first started being a nomad, I traveled and as a chef before I was kind of figuring out exactly what I wanted to do. Um, and I've always loved food. So traveling and trying new foods, the cuisines and cultures, I think that's also things that I enjoy doing in my spare time.
I want to dive deeper on this. So, favorite cuisine?
I really like Japanese food,
Me too.
uh, Italian food, and like I'm a bit biased. I like Mexican food and Peruvian food. Like I don't know if you've tried Peruvian food, but it's like a fusion of like think Mexican,
Hmm.
but with Japanese because there's Japanese settlers, so they got soy sauce and they use actually the rolls sometimes, like the makis, and so yeah, that's a really good one.
Sounds delicious.
A lot of people don't know about it, but it's like it's a think of Mexican and Japanese combined. That's Peruvian food. It's really amazing.
That's like two of my favorite cuisines, Mexican and Japanese, and put them together. I would never
Yeah.
even think of that. It kind of seems a bit weird. I want to ask you about this. This is a random combo that one of my cousins, she is a chef. She was mixing Japanese with Italian, and so she was making Japanese pizza, and it was good. It was really good, like sashimi pizza. Would you go for some of
With
that?
raw fish. Oh wow, that's even more that's more controversial than pineapple pizza.
Yeah, I think so.
I never tried it. Never tried it, but it's probably good with the right dressings, right? Like
I thought it was pretty
can't go
good.
wrong.
How about
Yeah.
I was like, how about your favorite food to actually cook yourself?
To cook myself, I like steak. Like
Hmm.
I like grilling. Grill like some grilled vegetables, steak. Yeah, just barbecue. I'm sure you would know that out back in in New Zealand, right next to Australia, you know? Shrimp on the
Very
barbie.
nice work on the accent, but yeah, very much so. Everybody always asks me, "What's your national dish of New Zealand?" And I either say roast or barbecue. Not very,
Barbecue.
yeah, we're not very
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah, but barbecue is amazing there. Like it's just cultural. Like I lived in Australia for a couple of years. And it was just like always like sliced out barbecue. It's the best.
It is a good combo, especially when you mix some good weather and the beach into it. It's hard to beat. So, not complaining in the end for our national dish to be called barbecue. But
Yeah,
anyway,
for sure.
carrying on. I want to you to cast yourself back to your 17-year-old self, okay? And what would you tell yourself as you are today? So, like some words of wisdom or thinking about the mindset that you're in now compared to where you might have been there and just looking forward. If you could speak with him today, what would you say to him?
I think just like follow your gut. Like
Hmm.
don't doubt yourself. Whatever like you really feel you should be doing, that's what you should always be doing. And then the rest will work itself out. Work hard, focus on what's important, think of life in terms of energy, frequency, vibration, and that's it.
I love that. Very, very meaningful and deep. And I think if a lot of 17-year-olds can take that. I mean, even me, I can take that on, and I'm not a 17-year-old, but I think that's like, yeah, follow your nose and be true to your heart, follow your passions, which I think is, I can see that in what you're doing as well. You initially followed your passions of travel and food and discovering the world with that, and now you've transferred your passions into robotics, which is just absolutely exploding. And you can see it and hear it in your voice today around just your knowledge of the different companies that are developing in this space, and also I can felt it when you started talking about your community and how you have built up this DAO and just educating the DAO and everyone's sort of contributing to group made decisions, which I think is really cool and very unique. Not many people are so community focused in the crypto space. So well done on.
So many kind of words. You're making me blush.
Well, with that said, um, if there is anybody that is going to be listening or watching here today, how can they get involved in XMaquina? How can they learn more about what you're doing? Or even actually, if you don't, I think that a great place for people to start learning about robotics is the information that you're putting out there. I think there's going to be a lot of people that would be interested in just being aware what's going on. And by the sounds of it, you're putting stuff out monthly. So how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so we're really focusing on that, right? Like education because it's so new. So we think it's like fundamental for like bringing in new users and people to understand what we're doing. So yeah, like our Twitter, like, most projects would just focus on what they're building. We do half and half. We like obviously a lot about what we're doing, our ecosystem, but then the other half is just education, like updates across the robotics industry, blogs about the latest funding rounds or conferences that happened, etc. So we're just trying to yeah, really educate as much as possible. So if you guys are interested in learning more, you can just go to xmachina.io, and then check out our blog section. That's where we post a lot of this content. Also, obviously, our Twitter is just at xmachina. And if you have any more questions or need support, you can just join our Discord. I'm quite active in there, and we also have community managers in there that are always there to support, answer any questions you might have. Yeah, so I guess that's the main thing. Just like the Discord, if you want to actually have a discussion with the team, like I'll be there as well. And the blog section. We are working on a really cool thing that I can't really tell too much right now, but in a few weeks we'll have something bigger that'll kind of push this like educational, like media side of things to the next level.
Exciting. Well, I will be sure to keep my eyes on for that because I found a lot of information through the stuff that you've put out there, the readings, and even just like the latest robotics updates. Like I've seen the boxing robots, I saw that on your X, the popcorn serving robotics, I saw that on your X, and just a lot of some of the biggest CEOs in the space talking around robotics. I saw it on your X. So you guys are doing such a good job at also sharing other people's work and educating people, because I have been learning from you guys. So thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure to talk with you today.